In the peaceful kingdom of Sergiaga, nestled among sun-kissed hills, stood a grand palace. Inside its royal hall, a magnificent golden sword rested on a velvet stand. This wasn't a weapon for war. It was a sacred symbol of truth and justice, passed down through generations of rulers. Its gleam was a constant reminder of the kingdom's values. But one morning, that peace was shattered. A frantic palace guard burst into the king's chambers, his face pale with panic. "Your Majesty, the golden sword. It's gone. Stolen." A hush fell over the entire kingdom as the news spread like wildfire. Fear and suspicion began to poison the air. Everyone seemed worried, their faces etched with concern. Everyone, that is, except for young Prince Aarav. Prince Aarav wasn't known for his brawn or his skill with a weapon. Instead, he was celebrated for his incredibly sharp mind and his unshakable calm. While others panicked, he simply looked at the worried faces around him and said with a gentle confidence, "Do not worry. I will solve this mystery." The prince made his way to the royal hall, the scene of the crime. He didn't rush. He simply stood there, observing, his keen eyes scanning every detail. He noticed three crucial things. First, the heavy doors to the hall were completely undamaged. There were no signs of a forced entry. Second, not a single guard had been injured. It was as if the thief had simply waltzed in and out. And third, the most telling clue of all, he saw that the dust on the sword stand had been disturbed on only one side, as if the sword had been lifted carefully, not snatched in a hurry. This was no common thief, Prince Aarav murmured to himself. This was an inside job, someone who knows the palace, its routines, and its secret. With this initial theory in mind, he moved to the next phase of his investigation. Listening, Prince Aarav began speaking with everyone in the palace, the guards who patrolled the halls, the servants who cleaned the rooms, and even the guests who were visiting. He was patient, his questions precise. One guard, after some thought, recalled, "I remember hearing very soft footsteps late last night." But there was no sound of running or alarm. Another helper, a young girl who worked in the kitchens, added, "I saw someone from a distance, carrying a long bundle wrapped in cloth. I thought it was just laundry." It didn't look like a weapon at all. A faint smile touched Prince Aarav's lips. The pieces were starting to fit together. "A very clever thief indeed," he whispered. The thief hadn't used force or speed. They had used intelligence and stealth. They knew how to move unseen and unheard. As he continued to examine the hall, a faint shimmer on the floor caught his eye. It was a tiny trail of golden dust, almost invisible to the naked eye, leading away from the stand and out towards the palace gardens. The prince's heart quickened with excitement. He followed the minuscule trail across the manicured lawns, past the fragrant rose bushes, until it ended at the door of a small old shed. This wasn't a storage room for tools. It was the old library shed, a place filled with dusty books and scrolls. He pushed the door open, and there, resting on a pile of old parchments, was the golden sword. It was wrapped carefully in a thick cloth, completely unharmed. But next to it lay something else, a folded note. The prince picked it up and read the elegant handwriting. "I did not steal this for greed or for power," it said. "I took it to prove a point. To show that our most precious symbol of justice was not being protected as it should be." Prince Aarav called everyone to the royal hall. He stood before the king, the guards, and the palace staff. The golden sword was once again on its stand. "The mystery is solved," he announced. "The one who took the sword was not a thief, but a teacher. It was the palace caretaker's son." A young man stepped forward, his head bowed in shame. "He is one of the smartest people in this palace," the prince explained. He knew the guards' schedules by heart. He knew no force was needed. He walked calmly, disguised his prize, and hid it not in a dark cave, but in a place of knowledge, the library. His note proves his intention was not to steal, but to reveal a weakness in our security. The young man looked up, expecting harsh punishment. But Prince Aarav spoke with kindness, not anger. "What you did was wrong," he said firmly. "But your intelligence is a gift. It should be guided and nurtured, not wasted on such schemes." Instead of being thrown in the dungeon, the young man was given the responsibility of helping to design a new, more clever security system for the palace. The golden sword was safer than ever, and the kingdom learned a valuable lesson. The people celebrated Prince Aarav not as a warrior, but as a wise and compassionate leader. From that day forward, a new saying was heard throughout Suryagar: "The sharpest sword is not the one made of gold. It is the one found in a calm and clever mind." Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more.